Can you believe it's already April? Heck, it's almost May, which means the NFL draft is upon us. Tonight on Sports Final, we play the role of general managers 1 and 2. Who will the Jaguars select?
Also, spring games that happen this week. That's a thing. Georgia, Miami, in the building. You will also hear from that man, Willie Taggart, as well.
Ice, ice, baby, the Jacksonville Icemen still alive in their first ECHL playoff run. What they need to do to get a win in an elimination game on Monday in Southwest Florida. That's all happening right now on Sports Final. It starts right now. Mia, I'm actually really excited for the show. I'm excited for all shows, but this week we got a lot of content brought to us because of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yes, although the season is still, I believe it's 172 days away. We have a schedule, we have mock drafts, and we are bringing
little turmoil.
Yeah, we have that too. Take it away, Ben.
The biggest story of the week. The Jags begin their 10-week off-season workout program in Jalen Ramsey, Telvin Smith. The two guys on the team, nowhere to be found. It's voluntary workouts. Voluntary, that's not mandatory. And Jalen, no surprise he's not there. I think he's done this before. His teammates know.
His dad has a facility in Nashville. That's where he's worked out the last 2 years. A bit more surprising, though, about Telvin. And initially on Monday, it didn't seem like the folks at the bank were too worried. Or were they?
I've reached out, but I have not heard back from either two. With the CBA rules and it's a voluntary period, you know, it's an option. You know, and obviously I don't try to concern myself with things that, you know, are out of my control. So I'm sure they're both working hard.
I haven't talked to them, but those are two guys I'm not worried about. You know, I mean, those are guys I know who are going to come back in top-tip shape, you know, focused and ready to go.
But Tom Coughlin did not see it that way, Calais. We forward to Thursday, the State of the Jaguars press conference, and Coughlin used his 3 minutes of stage time to call out the two Pro Bowlers.
We're very close to 100% attendance, and quite frankly, all our players should be here. Building the concept of team, working hard side by side, constructing our bond of togetherness, formulating our collective priorities and goals. It's not about rights and privileges, it's about obligations and responsibility, and the question is, can we count on you?
But what Coughlin forgets is we live not just in an age of instant gratification, no, we also live in an age of social media. Within hours, the NFLPA had tweeted out a statement seemingly directed at Coughlin and reminding us to break out the old Webster's dictionary and find the word voluntary. That definition is the same as the NFL's definition of the word voluntary.
He said Google it, didn't he? All right, besides the no-shows, the other big storyline is, what did Coughlin's boss think of all this, and where's his state of the team right now? He spoke to us. We don't get to hear him often. He's just happy to have Nick Foles.
I can tell you this categorically. I mean, that as soon as the season was over, it was, I mean, our dream was to get Nick Foles. So I think that's a critical part that, you know, we've addressed.
So did Coach Coughlin come to you?
Pardon me?
Did Coach Coughlin come to you almost immediately then after and said, quarterback, getting Nick Foles, number one thing?
I think pretty much so, yeah. I think, and it just wasn't Tom, I think this isn't impulsive or impetuous. I think, you know, there was quite a bit of thought put into it. But this was, you know, yes, we want to do whatever, you know, to get Nick here.
We also heard from the new QB1 this week. Even before he arrived in Duval County, Foles was praised for his transparency, his honesty. St. Nick proved to the media that he is just that. While Foles says he trusts Dave Caldwell and the front office's judgment, he also gave us his honest thoughts on the Jaguars' needs in the upcoming NFL draft.
You got to be able to run the ball with the tight end in the game, but they also have to be able to go out and catch the ball. So it's very hard to find guys that are good at both, but a key to a great offense, honestly, you really do need a good tight end. To be honest, a foundation of offense is always through the O-line. It's really hard to run a successful offense without those guys up front, not only from a skill perspective, but from just a mindset. Let's flip it over. You have to have a great D-line. I mean, it all starts up front. That's football, and then you build all around that.
I like him.
Lots of great ideas, and also a great segue to the segment of this show that we've been looking forward to. All week long, we have brought you our top 10 draftees the Jaguars should be targeting here on First Coast News. Tonight, on this quiet Sunday in sports, we present...
We're in charge.
The First Coast Sports mock draft. Ben, take it away. Who are you taking?
All right, first round,
overall?
First round, 7th overall. We're going tight end TJ Hawkinson. If you watched the show earlier, you know I like his hands. You know I like his size, 250 pounds. He can block. He can break tackles. He's at good balance with the ball in his hands. He's going to be a weapon for Foles.
I covered him in college. I covered him in high school. Don't hate me, Iowa fans. I'm not taking TJ Hawkinson at 7 overall. In the wise words of Nick Foles, the foundation of an offense is through the offensive line. Jonah Williams may not have long arms, but he never missed a game at Bama, was a full-time starter from the day he stepped on campus. Cool note for me, he began his career at right tackle. He moved to left when Cam Robinson left Alabama. Hey, Ben, who is the Jaguars' left tackle? Cam Robinson. That's right. Like I said, don't hate me, Iowa fans, because this lower third that you're about to see is a little bit deceiving in the graphic. I have the Jags trading back into the end of the first round to pick up that other Iowa tight end, Noah Fant. 18 touchdowns in his final 2 seasons in Iowa City. I can assure you personally, this guy has been on Dave Caldwell's radar since November, Ben.
Me in the second round, I'm going with some beef because I went with the tight end of the first round. We're going Greg Little, Ole Miss, 2018 All-SEC first team. 2017, he was a part of that SEC second team. I like the competitiveness of SEC offensive linemen. They got to go against those big guys on the defensive line of LSU in Florida. They played some of the best pass rushers in the nation, and his dad also played in the NFL. He's got that good blood. Third round, we're going to stay with it. I've got Ja'Kai Polite from the SEC, from the University of Florida. I think he slides because of what he did at the Combine, but his tape proves everything. 11 sacks, 45 tackles last year, 19.5 tackles for loss. I like the pass rusher out of Florida if he can slide to that third round. Also in the third round, we're going the receiver, who is my guy this draft. This
you
is who I
literally found him this morning,
yeah,
but yes.
Kelvin Harmon. After watching his tape today, I'm sold. 6'3", 215 pounds, soft hands. He'll go up and get it. The Jags need a body as an ex-receiver in that locker room. He's the guy.
I'm impressed that you actually featured someone from the East Coast. Here's some East Coast bias for you. The Jags say they're going to need another pass rusher, even though they already have Calais Campbell and Yannick Ngakoue. Zach Allen out of Boston College is the guy. You can never have enough of him, and he was a consistent threat off the edge. 6.5 sacks his senior year, 100 total tackles as a junior. Jaguars do have 2 third-round picks, so with that second third-round pick, I have kind of a bit of a flyer, but Benny Snell out of Kentucky. Jags need 2 things to add to their running back room, a pass catcher and accountability. I am really not sure if Snell's maybe necessarily the best pass catcher. I think they probably actually go David Montgomery. I can't have too many Iowa references. He is definitely, though, an alpha dog. Let's quick review where we are after 3 rounds. We've both got some offensive linemen. We both have some tight ends. Ben, what do we have in the fourth round?
All right, here's what we're doing. I like what we've done so far, but let's go ahead and take a look at my 4th round pick, because I think even though you go out and get Nick Foles, you still need a quarterback to develop under him, and I like Will Grier if he's able to get to that 4th round. If he slides, he's a competitor, he's a gamer. I know he doesn't have the strongest arm in the draft, but he put up numbers for his career at Florida and at West Virginia, 71 TDs in his last 2 years as a Mountaineer.
I am going to the wide receiver position when it comes to the 4th round pick. They might be able to get him in the 6th. This is Anthony Johnson. If you haven't heard of him, that's because he played for the Buffalo Bulls. No, not the Buffalo Bills. I love how tough he is after the catch, 17.8 yards per reception. But those hands, not only does he not drop the ball, he's also a great blocker. Jags need both of those. On to the 6th round. Football guy, no nonsense, Marone and Coughlin type of guy. Meet TJ Edwards. Like I said, my picks would feature a little more Big Ten East Coast bias. This guy never had less than 81 tackles in 4 seasons up in Wisconsin. And with all this Telvin Smith drama, Jags could use him.
So Bryce Love has had injury issues, but I think in the 6th round for the Jags, he's valuable. He is a great pass catcher out of the backfield. He can be a nice stunt to Fournette on 3rd downs, a nice little spell in this backfield. He put up numbers on the West Coast. A lot of people didn't watch him in his last year because he was injured, but I think he'd be a great find in the 6th. And you traded your 7th, Mia. Mia made some moves in the 1st round, so she doesn't have one. I'm going with the safety out of Marshall, Malik Gant. He would be a great backup to Harrison for the Jags. So a little recap of what we did. Highlights, Will Grier for myself. I like Anthony Johnson for you in the 4th round.
I know he played in the Big 12, but you still got that SEC bias.
Hey, you can watch the NFL draft, what we've been talking about, and see if we're right on ABC 25. It's in Nashville, but we will have a special all across town here in Jacksonville starting on Thursday.
Noles fans, your time to shine is now. Well, in this show at least. Willie Taggart and Trinity Christian product DJ Matthews speak on the other side of the break. Also, the U makes an appearance. Spring game action when Sports Final rolls on.
In just a few moments, we will officially be 4 days away from the 2019 NFL Draft. That place will be rocking. We will be rocking across Duval County. Our Draft Day special begins at 7 p.m. this Thursday. Hey, Ben, you'll be there at the bank on Thursday, right?
Oh, we'll be there. We're not at USF anymore, Toto. Florida State began its annual spring tour this week in Jacksonville. They stopped at Topgolf. They played some golf. They had some fun. Willie Taggart was there. He said the message is definitely different on this year's tour, this go-around after 2018. He hopes next year is not like 2018.
I think the confidence in our players and what they're doing is totally different than what we were last year. And so I think the message is different. From that standpoint, and it need to be. It don't need to be the same as 18. We're done with 18. We don't remember that year.
Bet you he remembers it. Doesn't want to make any more of it. Also making an appearance at Topgolf, former Trinity Christian standout DJ Matthews. This kid's a baller. I remember watching him in high school. He can flat out fly. He's made some progress this year, and coach says he's the most improved player on the team. I flat out believe that. This kid's a hard worker. He's going to make an impact this year.
It's a lot of things that we sacrificed and that we was willing to do just to get better over a period of time during the off season, and then just coming in for the spring game, being able to put it down.
And just the way he comes about the practice, not one day this spring I seen DJ come out there not ready to practice. He had a smile on his face every single day, coming out with a purpose.
Ohio State transfer Tate Martell was in attendance at the Miami spring game in Orlando yesterday. No, that's not him. That's not him either. This is him, though, the former four-star quarterback, the third QB rotated in yesterday. Let's not judge the short people, come on. But he would throw for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns despite being the third QB rotated in. That came against the first-team defense. Jacksonville's own showed out in the Big O. Providence alum Will Mallory and Fletcher's Jeremiah Payton both caught touchdown passes. Glenn Academy's DJ Dallas added a tutty and 44 yards for Team White. New head coach Manny Diaz fired up because Miami looks like Miami.
It looked like they were excited to be here when they thought we'd pass that test. In terms of the actual ball, I thought there was good execution on both sides. I was happy to see all of our 3 quarterbacks make plays. We believe all 3 of those guys can play. I think they go into summer now knowing that all 3 guys can play.
Translation, we don't know who Miami's starting quarterback is until August 24th at 7 p.m. Yay! That, of course, is when the Canes return to Camping World to face the Florida Gators in the season opener.
Week 0 should be fun. An announced attendance of 52,630 fans at Georgia G-Day in Athens. They know who their quarterback is because he's basically ran every other quarterback off of campus, surrounded by some young guns on the defensive side of the ball like Eric Stokes, who picks off from had a couple picks turned over. I think it was raining out there. This is what Jake from State Farm had to say about his spring day.
The quarterbacks did pretty well, did a good job managing things. We actually threw 2 picks today, and we didn't throw any picks in the other 2 scrimmages. So that's not, characteristic of us as a unit, so we'll get better at that.
We've seen a lot of havoc coming out of the defense. Those guys came out there and intercepted the ball, forced fumbles and things like that. That's something that we pride ourselves on.
The Jacksonville Icemen were able to even the series at 2 apiece once the series in the ECHL Kelly Cup playoffs returned to Jacksonville earlier this week. However, they were not able to get the win last night. 5-1 the final score in favor of the Everblades. But all hope is not lost. As much as the Jacksonville Icemen must now travel to Fort Myers, let's take a look at the numbers now, please. Thank you very much. We're going to look at the highlights from last night. Again, the Jacksonville Icemen went up 1-0 in this game to start. However, those Florida Everblades would score 5 unanswered. That included 2 in the first 3 minutes of the third period. But again, all hope is not lost just yet. There is still hope for the Icemen as Game 6 shifts back down to South Florida at
I'm going to have to shave.
Hopefully you don't. I mean,
I
will say this, the Everblades, Ben, have only dropped 5 games at home all season. We're still rooting for the Icemen, though. Tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m.
On to some golf. There's an Everblade in Hilton Head, South Carolina. Gator in the building. Players looking to avoid him in the water. Lots of it at Harbor Town. Dustin Johnson was a magnet to the bad stuff today. Talk about a struggle. It's rare to see him struggle and hit shots like this on the 14th hole. DJ finds Shamu's splash zone en route to a 6/77. Matt Kuchar, who lives up in Sea Island, is a money-making machine. Shocker, another top 5, top 10 finish for Matt Kuchar. 467, one back of your winner. CT Pan, his first career win. He's going to get in the PGA Championship, the Masters, the U.S. Open. He's qualified for it all, and the Players right here next year in Ponte Vedra. Coming up on Sports Final, a story you can only get right here on First Coast News. Out of Clay County, it's going to move you. Also, first from you, our Athlete of the Week is now a state champ, and the photos you guys posted on Instagram and Twitter using that hashtag Team Sideline. Sports Final ain't done yet. We'll be right back after this timeout.
The best shot from Tiger Woods' 2019 victory at the Masters did not come courtesy of a putter, or an 8-iron, or a driver. It came from the lens of a camera, capturing the bond between a father and his son. This next story is not about golf or a father and his son. It's about a father and his daughter and the game that's bonded them both on and off the field.
For as successful as their teams have been, for as competitive as they are on the field.
Oh, play it! I will tell you right now, love them to death, okay? On the field, want to beat the socks off them every time.
Softball teams in Clay County are one big family.
Nice hit.
The Blue Devils in Green Cove Springs, though, take family to a whole different level.
He's my best friend, the one that I go to for everything.
She and I have spent so many hours, miles on the road, traveling all over the place. Knucklehead, I haven't really put it, it's coming to an end, and it's roughly 2 weeks away or more.
Senior Sydney Lewis has been a part of Clay softball since she was in diapers.
2-1.
While her dad, Matt Lewis, was leading the Blue Devils to their lone state championship.
I'm close with my mom, but like there's just some things that a girl would normally go and talk to her mom about. I go straight to my dad.
But 2 weeks ago, the Lewis's only child didn't want to talk to Dad.
Been having these weird little things. It's no big deal. Kind of just laughed it off. She was like, no, it's really serious. And I was like, it's fine. Don't tell my dad I want to play, because I didn't want him sitting me out that night.
Sydney played that night, but a doctor's visit was scheduled for the next day. That appointment quickly turned into being admitted to Wolfson's Children's Hospital.
We asked, what he goes, well, we think it's MS. I don't think I've ever been punched as hard in my life as I had those 2 words, it's MS.
Once they said, you have tumefactive MS, I was like, am I going to be able to play? And it relieved me so quickly when he goes, you need physical exercise in order to prevent a flare-up. So he said, whenever you feel ready, go back at it.
Sydney was only sidelined for about a week, but her presence was everywhere. All thanks to that extended softball family.
When he saw the picture of that Coach Thompson sent him of the Oakleaf Mandarin game with the blue ribbons in their hair, he just started breaking down crying.
There will be more tears in the coming weeks. Sydney's senior night will be here before long. But those will be happy tears.
Even the biggest loss, even if we get run ruled, I think of it as a win in my books, because I'm being able to come out and play here, and this disease isn't being able to stop me.
And it's not stopping Sydney from her new project, encouraging other teens to get tested if something doesn't feel right and not being afraid to do so. She'll bring that mission to the University of Florida this fall, where she won't be playing softball, but something tells me her dad will be a frequent visitor. Staying in the high school ranks now, our On Your Side team has spent months looking into an IV program at a Georgia high school, said to keep its student athletes hydrated on the field. Thomasville City Schools now says it's moving away from IVs to what could be a more expensive but a less controversial method. On Your Side's Alex Ositis explains.
This picture sent to us months ago showing a Thomasville student athlete getting an IV treatment on a bus before a game. Fast forward months later, the district says it's moving towards sports drinks and gels, and that IV program is no more. More than 6 months looking into how Thomasville City School athletes were hydrating before games. IV drips administered on buses and in hallways. Controversial even among the doctors we spoke with. Now, a policy of the past. An email exchange with School Superintendent Lane Rickert saying that the district is moving away from treatments that would require doctor's orders and that IVs in the future would only be used in emergency situations. We consulted Southeast Orthopedics Dr. Kevin Murphy, a former football player himself, about what the changes mean for the health of athletes.
The standard practice is not to give them IVs prophylactically to prevent cramps.
Dr. Murphy adds in terms of player development, there are major red flags with consistent IV use.
Well, repetitive introduction of an IV into a vein, and they're doing it over and over again, you can get sclerosis of the vein, which can affect the vein, and you can throw little clots. You can get infections.
We called and emailed members of the Thomasville School Board, but those went unreturned as of Wednesday afternoon. We also asked Rickert about the potential cost of the switch, those numbers still being verified. Dr. Murphy says whatever costs pale in comparison to player health.
And then if you're going to be doing that activity for more than an hour, those sport drinks are better because they replace your electrolytes. Short of an hour, water is really adequate.
Still ahead at 6, what the statewide agency overseeing all of these decisions has to say about this situation. I'll have that coming up. Reporting, Alex Osiris, First Coast News, on your side.
Alex, thank you very much. First from you, our athlete of the week comes from Stanton High School. Irma Axia started rowing in the 7th grade thanks to a suggestion from her mom. Didn't know anything about the sport. She just said, you should go out and try something. It was rowing. Before you know it, a couple years later, she's a state title winner just a couple weeks ago in Sarasota at Stanton. She's an exceptional student. She's got her eyes set on this: Duke, Stanford to continue her academic and maybe even rowing career.
It was amazing because we worked so hard for like the past 6 months together to like get to the position where we were, and like it was always us just like driving one another to like become better and be a better rower.
She's very easy to coach. She's coachable. She's always has a good attitude and a smile on her face, and I love having her on the team.
So I know you know an athlete or two, maybe three, that you can nominate. Go ahead and fill out an Athlete of the Week form at firstcoastnews.com/sports, or shoot us an email or find me on Twitter, sports@firstcoastnews.com. You know what time it is?
What time is it, Ben? I think it's 11:57, but you tell me.
Look at those photos you posted using the hashtag Team Sideline. Things that make you go, seriously? Some baseball news that you will want to see and the story behind it. We're wrapping up Sports Final in style after the break. Best thing I saw in sports today. So, former Florida baseball player called his manager, Mickey Callaway for the Mets, told him last night, I need to play tomorrow. The pitcher that he wanted to go against today, hated him in college, needed to go up against him. What did he do?
I don't know, Ben. What did he do? Let's
Hit one
see
about
what he did.
450 feet. Peter Alonso, put him in the lineup and be thankful that you did. Best thing I saw today. Okay, if the Jags were watching this show today, I got one thing. Kelvin Harmon in the 3rd round. That's all I have to say for the rest of the night.
You literally found his tape, I think, 3 hours ago.
That's fine.
We'll let it roll. We thank you for joining us, and we leave you with This Is Home.